Hi guys and welcome to Fandom Newbie. My name is Shruti and today I'm going to talk about 4 tips to read more books in 2021. These are some things that I have used myself to get out of reading slumps and to read more books. So I thought I would share it with you guys to help you guys out in this year as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get started. Tip number 1, read books that you love. Now, I've noticed this about myself is that when I'm in a reading slump and I don't want to read or I'm just in no mood to read, it usually happens when I force myself to read books that I don't naturally like. So, if you've been on my channel for a while, you know that I don't really like non-fiction books. It takes a lot of effort for me to read and enjoy a non-fiction book. So, when I feel like I'm compelled to, or if I feel like I'm being forced to read a non-fiction book, then I'll generally find excuses in my head to not do it. I'll be like, oh, today I'm very tired, so that's why I'm not going to read this book. Oh, today I have a lot of work, so that's why I'm not going to read this book. I end up finding excuses in my head to not do something because andar se I don't want to do it. So one of the best ways to counter that, I feel, is just read what your heart tells you to read. If you love romance books and if you love chick flick books, then just read those. Or if you love mystery books and thriller books, then just read those. If you love fantasy books, then just read those. I feel like there's a lot of reader guilt in reading books that will uplift you or that will make your life better, or read only self-help books because those are the books that really matter and that will change your life. But honestly, every book is good and every book is important, because as long as you're reading and learning and growing, that's what matters. And don't worry about what people will say or the type of book that you're reading, because that doesn't matter. Tip number 2, listen to audiobooks. Now, this is one thing that has really changed my life and made me read a lot more books than I ever could. The thing about audiobooks is that you can read books or listen to them on the go. So if you have a long commute to school or work, then listening to audiobooks is great, because you're reading a book as you're traveling to work. If you're doing a very mundane task, it doesn't really require you to pay a lot of attention. So if you're cooking or if you're cleaning your house, then you can listen to an audiobook. And again, while you're doing another task, you're reading and you're absorbing that knowledge. And the third great thing about audiobooks is that, especially if you work in a job where you have to just stare at your computer screen the whole day, your eyes get tired. So when you come home, sometimes you just don't have the energy to pick up a book and again stare at something and read the words. So if you're in that situation where you don't feel like reading because your eyes are tired, so then all you have to do is just lie on in your bed, snuggle up in a blanket and listen to your book, which I feel might be a lot more relaxing for your eyes than actually having to pick up and read a book. Tip number 3 is set aside daily reading goals. Now, the thing with these goals, right, is that number 1, the main thing is that they cannot be over ambitious, or they cannot be huge goals. Don't set aside a goal of I'm going to read 100 pages every single day. That's not going to happen. The thing is that for a lot of us, I feel in this book community, for a lot of us, reading is our hobby. It's not really a job that we're doing, or it's not really a necessity for us. We do it because we love reading, right? So I feel there are a lot of other things that are happening in our life that do sometimes take priority over reading, whether it's school, whether it's work, whether it's a relationship. There are so many things that can take priority over reading because reading is our hobby. So if you set a goal for yourself, which is reading 100 pages a day, or I'm going to read for 2 hours every single day, chances are you're not going to be able to achieve that. And when you can't achieve that, the only thing that it will do is that it will make you feel bad about yourself. It will make you feel like you're failing on your goals, and it will just demotivate you further, where you're just oh my god, I have this many pages that I have to read and I can't read them. So you just feel flustered, you feel demotivated, and then you end up actually reading less than reading more. So I would say set small goals for yourself rather than really, really big goals. And the second thing is that these goals don't have to be in any particular form. They can be time-based, for example. So where you say that I'm going to read for 15 minutes or half an hour every single day. And you set aside that 15 minutes or half an hour in your day to read your book. or it can be like page oriented. So for example, it can be I'm going to read 20 pages every single day, or I'm going to read 50 pages every single day. And you set aside again time to do that. So it can be anything, like you can customize it according to what you want to do. But basically set aside these small goals, because chances are if you're like really into a book, you're probably not going to just stop at 50 pages. You're going to go on for maybe 100, 200 pages on that day, for example. But by setting like the precedent of 50 pages, you don't set yourself up for failure and you don't set yourself up for disappointment. And this can actually motivate you to read a lot more. And tip number 4 is change your definition of more. So when we say I want to read more books, what we generally go for is that, I want to read 60 books this year, or I want to read 100 books this year. Like, we go by the number of books. And I feel like the Goodreads kind of reading goal has put that into our head of like, oh, I have to read this many books, only then I can call myself like a good reader or like a highly achieved reader kind of a thing. But honestly, just reading more books for the sake of reading more books is not adding to your life at all. So rather than just having a goal of reading 100 books in a year, maybe your goal should be dependent on what you want to achieve in that year. Let me explain. So for example, let's say that one of your goals in this year is to become more financially independent. It's your personal goal. Like, you want to do something, you want to invest your money, you want to maybe start a side hustle, something in which you become financially independent. So maybe your reading goal should then be, I want to read more books that help me achieve this goal. Does that make sense? Another goal could be that you want to develop a skill. So maybe it's creative writing. For example, you want to develop your skill in creative writing. So then maybe it's about reading more books that would help with that goal. So then maybe you could read like bestseller books, which the author has done an amazing job at describing certain events or describing certain worlds or something. So that can help you in understanding how to write creatively. So basically what I'm saying is that don't be fixated on a number, like I need to read 100 books this year. Like, don't be fixated on that 100 books. Be fixated more on your learning, on your development, and on your enjoyment of reading books. That will actually prevent you from getting into a reading slump, and that will actually help you read more than you've ever read in your life. So yeah, that was my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below with some of your tips of how to read more in 2021. And of course, do subscribe to my channel for more book-related videos. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.